All right. And just a reminder, please keep your screens on, your video on so that we can see your beautiful faces. And if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and I will hopefully see you. Okay. All right. And of course, if you have a question and I don't see you, you can send it in the chat. Or you can even just, talk out real quick. Like if there's a break or a lull, you can say, hey, I have a question and I'll answer it for you. All right. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And we're going to get started.
Whoever's at, we keep getting some feedback from you.
Can everybody see my screen so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right. So welcome to the Louisiana FFA State Candidate School. All right, so I'm going to go over some of our procedures for today. And we're going to walk through what the next few months is going to look like leading up to convention and while you're at convention, and then what your year of service will look like as a state officer, okay? And so there's going to be lots of information. Make sure you have a pencil and a paper notes if you can. And of course, if you have any questions, just let me know. If you happen to get kicked off, I have my number at the bottom so that you can everybody check their mic real quick one more time for me and just make sure that you're muted. All right. Perfect. So, some of the expectations for today is to stay muted when you aren't speaking and to keep your cameras on. We just like to keep that feedback from coming back on, and we can hear all the background noises and it gets super hectic. So just stay muted as you're speaking. If you have a question, you can type it in the chat box or unmute yourself. And if you lose internet connection, don't panic, just reestablish your connection and click on the meeting link to rejoin. Okay, so like I said, we're recording this and I'm also going to post this PowerPoint to our website so that you guys can remember, like, if you missed anything or if you have any questions that you want to clean up and go back. And then here's my number. Everybody can write that down real quick. I'll give you a few seconds if you don't already have it, so that if you do lose connection or you have something happen, you can just text me real quick. Can everyone still see my where it says today's procedures on my screen?
Yes, ma'am. I can.
I can just see the Canva thing if you haven't started the PowerPoint yet.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's only quick, so we can get that wrong quick.
Okay, I'm gonna fix this real quick because I don't think that's working. All right, what does it look like to you guys now? Does it say today's procedure?
Yes, ma'am. And it's
Yes,
full
ma'am.
security this time.
Okay, perfect. Look there, I figured it out. All right, does everyone have my number down? Yep, perfect. Okay, so for today's expectations, I am going to provide a thorough explanation of all the content. Like I said, that will be sent to you guys, that you'll be studying, everything that you will have to know for the next few months up until convention. I'm going to try my best to answer all of your questions. Of course, we have Mr. Lejeune on if we have anything, but I think I can answer all your questions. And I'm going to stay positive and engaging because we're going to have a good time, right? It's exciting to be able to step into this new journey for you guys. So I want everybody to be excited. For you guys, your role is to listen actively and to take good notes. Think of questions you want to ask, and then, of course, I want you guys to stay positive and engaging as well, just because we're going to have a couple hours together. And I know it's a long time to sit and look at a computer screen, but we're going to try our best to kind of make it a little fun. We have breaks set aside for you guys. And this is a good time for you to get to meet some of the people who will potentially be on a team with you. So just keep that in mind. All right. So for our agenda today, we are going to review our state officer responsibilities. So that's everything that you are required to do, and the different jobs that you will have. You say jobs, but just duties that you have as a state officer throughout your year of service. We're also going to review our state officer calendar of events. So we have mandatory events that you must attend as a state officer. And so we'll go through each of those and the dates that we have set for those as well, so that you can kind of see mapped out what your year of service will look like. We have our state officer policies, and so these are just the rules and guidelines that you have to abide by throughout your service. And then our state officer capstone program, and that is something we enforce our state officers to do on a weekly basis as they transition throughout their year and as they transition out of their year of service. All right. And then we'll have a little break. So lots and lots of content. When we come back from our 10-minute break, we're going to explain how the selection process works and its purpose. We're going to review the interview rounds and what the scheduling looks like, explain the competencies and how they're scored for each round, and then address any questions about the selection process and expectations that you guys may have. We'll break for 5 more minutes, and then the state officers, the currents team, is going to jump on, the one that can, and they're going to answer some of your questions if you have any. All right. And that way you can kind of talk to them and see what their year of service was like. All right. So first, I want you guys to introduce yourselves. So we're going to do a little icebreaker, but we're going to make it a little different because I feel like everybody feels so much pressure to do an icebreaker, right? When they say to like pick something super interesting or tell me about your hidden talent, right? So instead, I want you to say your name, what chapter you're from today, and to keep us from feeling too pressured, I want you to tell me the least interesting thing about yourself. Okay? And so name, chapter, least interesting thing about yourself. Okay? I can start if you want to give you guys an example, but my name is Elizabeth Richwine. I'm not a part of a chapter anymore, but I was from the Florine FFA chapter. And I work for the state office, and the least interesting thing about myself is that I don't sleep with pillows.
Elizabeth, you can mute Crowley as the host.
Okay.
If you click on their little screen there, you can turn them off.
Okay.
And there you go. All right, I'll go next, Elizabeth. So I'm Cade Lejeune. I'm also not a part of a chapter anymore. I graduated high school almost 20 years ago. I went to high school in Midland, which is in Acadia Parish. I had the opportunity to serve a couple of terms as a state officer back in the mid-2000s. I was an ag teacher for 8 years. I taught for 3 years in Baton Rouge at Woodlawn High. I taught for 5 years at Springfield High School in Livingston Parish. And I've been on state staff now since 2017. Whole lot of fun. I really enjoy working with our student workers and our state officers. Probably the least interesting thing about me is I've never stayed up very late. I'm usually in bed by like 9 o'clock.
And anyone who wants to go can just unmute themselves. We don't have any particular order.
Hey y'all, I'm Emily Bullock. I'm currently at the Lakeview FFA chapter, and the least interesting thing about me is sometimes I drive barefoot.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. My name's Eden Fisher. I'm from Mangum FFA, and the least interesting thing about me, I ate a Pop-Tart before the Zoom meeting.
Hi, my name's Mariana Harris. I'm from Lafayette FFA, and the least interesting thing about me is that I really like peanut butter.
Hi, my name's Hudson Galloway. I'm from the North Shore High FFA chapter, and the least interesting thing about me is probably that I work at an Italian restaurant.
My name is Autumn Email. I'm from the Central Lafourche FFA chapter, and I would say the least interesting thing about me is that I have 0 sisters.
Hey, I'm Emily Nevels from the Winfield FFA chapter, and I think the most uninteresting thing about me is the fact that my name is Emily.
Hi, my name's Dina. I'm from the Natchitoches Central FFA chapter, and the most uninteresting thing about me is my favorite type of mac and cheese is the Annie's mac and cheese.
Hey y'all, my name is Valerian Fugile. I am representing the Franklin FFA chapter, and the least interesting thing about me is I am left-handed.
My name is Braden Broussard. I'm from the Acadiana High FFA chapter, and the least interesting thing about me is that I really like sweet tea.
I'm Jasmine Jones. I'm from the Winfield FFA chapter, and the least interesting thing about me is that I run for fun.
I'm Colin Sebrin. I'm from the West Washita FFA chapter, and I think the least interesting thing about me is that I play tennis.
Hi, I'm Hannah Worsham from the Natchitoches Central FFA chapter, and I think that the most least interesting thing about me is that I own horses.
I'm Benjamin Robichaud from Franklin FFA, and the least interesting thing about me is that I'm wearing contacts for the first time.
I'm Michaela Porter. I'm from the Midland FFA chapter, and the least interesting thing about me is that I like ice cream.
My name's Marla Day. I'm from the Central Lafourche FFA chapter, and the least interesting thing about me is that I do archery.
Hi, I'm Kinsey Brassell, and I'm from the Laxing FFA chapter, and the least interesting thing about me is that I'm deathly afraid of chickens.
Hey everyone, I'm Owen Kelly from Oak Grove FFA, and probably the least interesting thing about me is I look like Woody from Toy Story.
Hi, I'm Jaden Wood from Covington FFA, and the least interesting thing about me would probably be that I own a dog and a rabbit.
Hi, I'm Brady Vincent from the Forest FFA chapter, and I hate peanut M&Ms.
Is there anybody else who hasn't gone?
My name is Mason Morgan from the Crowley FFA chapter, and the least interesting thing about me is I showed pig for 2 years.
Hi, my name is Samira Welch. I'm from the Crowley FFA chapter as well, and the least interesting thing about me is I'm scared of the dark.
All right. See, so it seems like half of these things aren't even uninteresting, or really any of them aren't. uninteresting. They're actually super interesting and they're really cool things. So that's why I wanted to do that. To start us off. I'm sorry, y'all. I think my computer is geeking out. I don't know why it keeps jumping around. All right, so let's get started. These are the roles and responsibilities of state officers. As you can see, we have our lovely pictures of our current team and all the different things that they did this year. So we have chapter visits. We have the LSU Ag Center, them going to the Ag Center, DC, getting to hang out with the area officers and deliver checks, poultry, bake sales, everything. Fun. Okay, so one of the very first and main roles as a state officer that you are going to have or responsibilities that you will have to have is with student leadership. And so Louisiana FFA is a youth organization, right? I'm sure we all know that. We're all a part of it. We have over 13,000 members currently. And so you guys get to be the 10 individuals that are picked will be the leaders of this organization and of those 13,000 members. So it's a really big role to step into, and there's lots of responsibilities that come with that. There's also lots of rewards that come with that. And so under the student leadership realm, we have the executive committee. So we have a spring and fall executive committee meeting. And so the 10 state officers and different ag teachers across the state are also members of the executive committee. And what they do is they go through our budget and different decisions that will play out throughout the year that deal with our organization and the different things that we will be doing with that, with our organization throughout the year. So whether that's concerning with different conferences and trainings, like I said, our budget, where a convention will be held, just different decisions that are made will be made by you guys and by the executive committee. So you represent the leadership of our organization. You will also engage in professional conversations with industry leaders, educators, and government officials. And so it is student leadership, but like I said, you are the leaders of these members across our state. And so you get to be the spokespeople for our 13,000 members. And so you get to have those really professional conversations with people who can help make a difference with us, that can help make policy change, that can help give us scholarships and award money and grant money so that we can continue to do all the amazing things that we get to do throughout Louisiana FFA. And then, of course, you get to empower the members. And so I'm sure everyone here has had a state officer at some point in their FFA journey who helped them feel empowered, who encouraged them, who, they think super highly of and that they have made a friend through. And so you guys will potentially get to step into that role as well and be friends and empowers and encouragers of the members across our state. All right. Second is advocacy. Does everyone know what advocacy is? Yeah. Colin, can you give me a definition for advocacy? What does that mean?
Really, it's just the making people aware of certain things in the agriculture industry, more of the making people aware of things that they feel maybe agriculture doesn't contribute to their lives or they didn't know it contributed to their lives, but just giving them that general sense of knowing. Exactly.
It's education, it's awareness, it's letting people know exactly what agriculture is, what we stand for, and the things that we need even, right? And so you will advocate for the ag industry, for agricultural education in our schools, and for FFA. All right, so you are the advocates for our organization. And you are advocates for our organization even now. And so this doesn't start with becoming a state officer. Any member is an advocate for agricultural industry, the agricultural education, and for FFA already. All right. Personal growth. So you guys are going to see so much personal growth, not just throughout your year of service, but also just through this process as well. But when you become a state officer, you will spend the year traveling throughout Louisiana, throughout the United States, and sometimes even abroad. And so if any of you guys know Abigail Davis, she has been able to travel to other countries to be able to advocate and communicate all the things that she loves about agriculture. And that started with her journey as becoming a state officer. So there's definitely some great opportunities out there to see the world through FFA. You're also going to have lots of communication and networking. So like I said, you're going to be working with policymakers. You're going to be talking to businesses and industries that are huge contributors to Louisiana, to our state, to our nation. You'll be talking to educators and those who create the curriculum for the things that we have in our school throughout our state. And so you really get to make those connections and those relationships with people and network. And so that will even help you after you retire and hang up your jacket, right? And then, of course, with that, just communicating to those people and having those professional conversation, all of that is going to really help shape you into a really well-rounded individual. Throughout your year of service, you have lots of responsibilities on top of whether you're in college or you're still in high school. Some of you may have jobs or sports or other extracurriculars that you are involved in. And so with that, you're going to have some really good time management. And so you're going to have to develop some type of system that works best for you, because everyone is different, to figure out what your priorities are and how to meet all of your due dates. And so keep that in mind, is that when you're a state officer, you are super busy. Like I said, you're traveling throughout the state, throughout the United States. Your summer is packed. And so with all the things that you have going on in your own life, even just time to relax, you have to schedule all of that in and really make sure that you are aware of all the things that you've got going on and all the due dates that you have coming up. And so that's really going to improve your time management. Professionalism, you're going to maintain positive and professional social medias and on other public platforms. And so you're going to develop a sense of professionalism, whether you're just talking to people or, like I said, throughout your social media and really just the way that you interact with the world. And so we maintain that professionalism, and that's also going to grow for you as you go out through the year, because you're going to learn how to write thank you letters and how to have those hard conversations and in a professional way, right? And so all of those different aspects of professionalism you'll also learn throughout your year of service. And then your biggest responsibility is to attend all of the required FFA events and complete the mandatory assignments that we have for you guys. So all of these flow into your personal growth and the different things that you'll be learning and doing throughout your year of service. Are there any questions for me so far? No? All right. As a state officer, like I said, on top of the personal growth and the traveling and all the fun things, you also have some very specific responsibilities. And some of those responsibilities consist of facilitating workshops. And so you will have to write workshops and deliver those to different chapters. Who in here has been a part of a workshop? Surely you've gone to a conference or you have had a state officer come to your chapter. Raise your hand if you've been and participated in a workshop before. Yeah. Lots of you guys. Yeah, exactly. And so you guys are going to be the facilitators of those workshops. You're going to be the ones giving them. So you're going to be on the flip side of that. And then on top of that, you have speeches. So you're going to have to write and deliver your speeches. We have banquets that you attend at the end of the year. We have different luncheons that you will go to for different industries where you'll be meeting with people and they may ask you to give a speech. We have speeches at conventions, you're retiring addresses. So there's lots of talking, lots of speeches, lots of storytelling that you will have to do and complete throughout your year of service. We have different retreats that you'll go on. So we have base camp, we have checkpoint 2, we have your state officer retreat after your year of service. And so we have lots of different times throughout the year that you will be staying for a significant amount of days to train and become a leader, right? And learn how to develop the skills to become a leader. And then you also have to follow your due dates, right? So we kind of talked about like prioritizing and that time management. That's also a responsibility. You have to communicate with the people who are in charge of you, and, you know, let them know if you need help, if there's ever a problem, and you have to do that in a timely manner. And then, of course, traveling. Like I said, you travel all over the country, all over the state, and so you'll really get to see the world. So that is just some of the responsibilities that you will have as a state officer. Underneath that role of responsibilities, you are going to have to carry through with your commitment to Louisiana FFA. So it is a big commitment to become a state officer, but like I said, the rewards are amazing that come from it. And so throughout your year of service, even when it gets hard, you just have to remember that commitment that you have to our organization and to the members. You're going to have to be a lifelong learner. So every day you're going to see new things in agriculture. You're going to have new landscape, new different like paths that you will take and that you will see throughout agriculture. And so what you learn throughout this process isn't enough. You're also going to have to learn every single day that you step into the role, once you step into the role of being a state officer. And you have to be open to learning those new things. And so that's a big part of being a state officer as well. You're going to be positive agents of change. And so you guys, like I said, are the leaders of our organization. And so the things that you want to change, you are going to be the ones initiating that change. You are going to be the ones setting the example. You're going to set high academic, moral, and ethical standards for yourself and for each other. And so we hold you guys to high standards, but that is because we know that our state officers are the best of the best, and that they can hit those high standards. And then, of course, you have to take care of yourself because hygiene is important. I think we all know the importance of hygiene, and be shining examples of what a premier FFA member should be. So you guys are the example. You are what our state looks to for our year. And so all of these things are super important and super important that you uphold. And then one of the biggest things that you can do to make sure throughout the process and throughout your year of service to make sure that you have a great year and that the outcomes are well worth it is to just keep initiative, positivity, and kindness. So that IPK, if you initiate the change that you want, if you initiate, making a difference and going to chapters and learning, all of that is going to help you become a better person, and help that personal growth and help make that change. And then, just keeping positivity and kindness, even when the times are hard, that's all super important. Are there any questions that you guys have for me so far?
I don't have any.
Awesome. All right, so now we're going to go through that state officer calendar of events. Like I said, you guys are going to be traveling throughout the state. You have lots of conferences. It's going to be a busy time. And so we're going to go through some of those due dates and some of those mandatory events that you have to attend. All right, so the very first thing that you'll be attending is base camp. Base camp is directly after you're elected, and it's going to be in St. Joseph this year. So that's North Louisiana. It's going to be June 10th through the 14th. So it's directly after convention. This is where you're going to build as a team. You're going to get to know your team. You're going to reflect on the goals that you have for the year, establish those team dynamics, learn your strengths and weaknesses and how you guys can work together. You're going to learn different communication hacks, practice on your social media and your vlog content, practice maintaining that professionalism and how to have professionalism on those platforms. You're going to create different things for leadership camp and plan different activities. You're going to start writing workshops. You're also going to learn how to overcome the conflicts and make resolutions throughout your team. And so there will be times throughout your year of service that you guys are going to have conflicts arise, and you and your teammates are going to have to make those resolutions, right? You're going to become an effective advocate develop writing skills, and even develop the facilitation skills that we talked about that you will need as you go to write your speeches and as you go to chapter visits to give these workshops. All right. The next thing that you will have right after base camp is you're going to start prepping for leadership camp. And so has everyone been to a leadership camp? Yeah. Okay. I think most of us have. If you haven't, that's okay too. Leadership camp is probably one of the most fun activities that you'll get to do as a state officer. At least in my opinion, it probably is. It's through the summer, so feels like a vacation while you're there, even though you're working. But you're gonna get to meet a bunch of the members from all 4 areas. And so area 3, your camp is going to be June 25th through the 27th. And so all the area 3 members that are coming to camp are going to get to hang out with the state officers. They're going to have workshops from you guys. They're going to have team activities. They're going to have different, rec activities that you get to do with them. And so that is when area 3 camp is. Area 4 is going to be July 9th through the 11th. And then area 1 and 2 are together, and they are going to be July 16th through the 18th. And so at leadership camp, you will have to memorize and learn all your workshops. Like I said, you'll have to do opening ceremonies. You'll write the workshops for leadership camp and practice your facilitation. And you're going to learn how to engage with the members effectively. Okay, and so these 3 camps are mandatory. You must go along with base camp. All of these things are mandatory. Okay, right after camp, you have the State Officer Summit. And so the State Officer Summit is a training that they do in Washington, D.C. So the entire team goes. They get to go with Mr. Lejeune, and sometimes Ms. Eton goes with y'all. But you spend roughly a week in Washington, D.C. and get to learn from the national officers. And so you'll be going through advocacy training. You'll be developing clear and consistent messages related to agriculture and FFA. And then you'll also get to meet with legislators at the Capitol as well and do different legislative visits. So that's super fun. I know the state officers this year really loved getting to go to Washington, D.C. That was one of their first big events that they got to travel for outside of the state. So they really enjoyed that. This year, it's going to be held the 22nd through the 26th. And so once you get through base camp and camp or leadership camp, you'll be going to the State Officer Summit. Right. Next, we have vlogs. And so we kind of talked about that communication and what you will have on different platforms for social media. But each state officer has a vlog. And so they take 1 month and get to vlog what they got to do throughout their year of service. So we have September with Cade, February with Camille, October with Alyssa, January with Ellie. You're going to film all the content that you have at different FFA events that you go to throughout the state for that month that you are given. You're going to film at least 10 minutes worth of content all horizontally. And it'll be you talking, you interacting with members, filming what's going on, interviewing people you're with. And so it's super fun. It's a fun way to get to show your personality. If you guys haven't checked out the vlogs from the state officers, you definitely should. We have them on our YouTube and listed on our website. And you may even see yourself at some of these events. So definitely go check those out. And if you want a little example of what it may look like for you guys to do this next year, then you can check those examples out on our website as well. All right, then we have chapter visits. So like I said, a chapter can request a state officer to come to their chapter, to give a workshop, to come to their chapter meeting, to come to an event. Maybe it's Ag Explosion at the beginning of the year that they're hosting. And so state officers get to go and participate as well, give workshops, give presentations to various chapters and various audiences. And so you may have a middle school chapter that you go to or a high school chapter. And so you do have those different audiences that you'll have to cater to and write your workshops towards. You're also going to have to engage your members, of course, maintain that professionalism with advisors, and advocate for agriculture all throughout these. Then we have our business and industry tours. And so you get to travel the state to get to know the various industries throughout our state. You can see a few years back, we went to Emergent. Camille got to meet with bank owner to receive an award. We do a lot of stuff with Sunshine, Farm Bureau. And so you get to see all the different industries related to agriculture throughout our state. You get to meet with those representatives, establish those relationships, tour their facilities, meet with those professionals. A lot of times they sponsor us, and so they help us throughout our year and help us carry out the things that we'd like to do. And then you also get to advocate and connect with FFA and ag education programs to that industry throughout the state. And so they'll get to ask us about what we do, and we get to ask them about what they do. And so those are really fun as well. Those were some of the things that I liked the most as I was a state officer several years back. All right. We also have area officers. And so you guys are prepping to step into the role of being a state officer. And then we also have area officers that will help you guys as well. So for each area, we have a team of area officers that do similar things to you, just not as much or as at a higher, as much as a high level as you guys. I'm sorry. Maybe that coffee is getting to me. So you guys get to train these leaders as well for FFA. And so we have our area officer training, which is the area officers version of base camp that you guys have. And so y'all get to give that training to our area officers and get them ready for their year of service. You'll show them how to write workshops as well, write and conduct team activities, workshops for the different conferences that they have. So each area has a conference that they put on for their members. And so you get to train them on how to do that and how to engage with our members. This is going to be August. We haven't set the date quite yet.
I can give you the date, Elizabeth, if y'all want to write this down. It has been set. State officers are going to arrive on August 1st. The conference will last August 2nd through the 3rd, and it's going to be again at Camp Grant Walker. And this year we're getting a lifeguard, so we'll be able to swim while we're there too, since it was so hot last year. So August 1st through the 3rd.
Perfect. Well, look at that. And Camp Grant Walker was pretty fun this year. We played volleyball. We had scavenger hunts. I think a lot of us felt like we were at summer camp again. So we have fun at AOT. Right. Like I said, we have our executive committee meetings. So you guys are a part of the executive committee. We have a fall executive committee meeting, which is in September, and then a spring executive committee meeting, which is in March. And so here you'll discuss all the important issues regarding Louisiana FFA. And those 2 meetings are mandatory.
Elizabeth, we also now, as of this past year, we're going to do 2 virtual ones in the other quarters. So right before Christmas, we're going to do a short virtual meeting, probably right after state LDEs. I think last year we met on the Monday virtually for about 30 minutes. And then we're going to do another short one at state convention. Because of our new relationship with the Ag Center, we have to do 4-year one each quarter to review budget. So just know that you'll have 2 virtual ones also. The virtual ones are really short. The 2 in person, they can go like 3 hours. We meet in person because we have a lot of business to go over. The virtual ones are shorter. I will say too that next year's team, something exciting, that spring meeting in March, you get to determine where state convention goes for the next 4 years. It'll be a bid year. Elizabeth got to do that as a state officer. So that's coming around again next spring. So that'll be exciting. You get to hear cities come in and pitch their bids of why they think they should host our convention for the next 4 years. And as the officer team, you get to help make the decision on that.
Well, look at that. Y'all got even more exciting things to come up. All right. After the executive meetings, usually we try to group some of these things together. And so whenever your fall executive meeting will be, you're also going to take your Christmas pictures right after. And so we had fun taking Christmas pictures this year. We went to the Bentley. We had Santa hats and pajamas. Well, at least I think they had fun. I love their pajamas. So we take Christmas pictures so that we can make your Christmas cards and send them out to the different chapters and industries that are important to us throughout the year. They get sent to all the chapters, and then the different industries that you guys may go and meet. We'll also send them there to our sponsors. And so your pretty faces will be sent all over the state for Christmas pictures. But again, we try to group some of these different required events together so that you're not taking off too much from school. Okay. National Convention. National Convention is super fun. You guys are going to have National Convention this year from October 20th through the 26th. The actual convention is the 23rd through the 26th, but the state officers go a few days early, and they do training as leadership delegates. And so the president and secretary serve as leadership delegates. Our vice president serve as delegates. You have to attend all the sessions, and their sessions are, in case you haven't ever gone to National Convention, their convention is very similar to ours. And so we have national officers give their retiring addresses. You get to see members from across the United States get their awards that they've won. There's competitions that go on, a huge expo. So there's lots of different activities for you guys to do and to see. You also get to meet lots of members and, of course, take lots of pictures.
One edit to the date, Elizabeth, we fly back on the 27th.
Yes.
We leave on a Sunday and come back on a Sunday.
So National Convention, you'll be gone from the 20th through the 27th. And that's in Indianapolis every year. So you'll get to see a different part of the world as well.
Have you asked if any of them have not flown before?
I haven't.
Because you're going to fly twice this year, minimum of twice.
Is anyone scared of flying?
A little bit.
I used to hate it. It's better now.
I love flying, but we'll get you taken care of. We'll get you some Dramamine and put you to sleep if you are scared. All right. Then we have state LDEs that you'll have to attend for your year of service. So those are going to be in 2020 or in December of 2024. We haven't set that date quite yet either, but here you're just going to celebrate member achievements. You're going to engage with the members. You're going to hype them up as they go in and compete. You're going to present awards and pop banners and take lots of pictures.
If I had to guess on this one, it's probably going to be either December 12th or 13th, if I had to guess. It's probably a good guess. And then when you talk about checkpoint, Elizabeth, it'll be like that weekend.
Yes, sir. And then checkpoint 2. So again, you'll meet as a team. So you meet as a team for a base camp. We have a national facilitator come and give you trainings on how to become a state officer and how to develop those skills. And then again, we meet in December, so at Christmas, and you guys have a Christmas party, but you meet again with the same national facilitator, and you will go over more training and get the skills that you'll need to prepare for state convention and SLDC. And so your facilitator from National FFA that will be coming is Miss Alora. She helped us out this year. We love Miss Alora. She's great. She is from, I don't remember if she's
Minnesota.
From Minnesota.
Minnesota.
So
she almost died last summer in the heat. It was pretty, well, it wasn't funny, but I felt bad for her. But yeah, she struggled.
She's great. We love Miss Alora. So you guys are going to get to interact with her again this year. And she's going to help train you guys. And so in December, right after state LDEs, we'll group those together. So you'll attend state LDEs, like Mr. LeJeune said, on either the 12th or the 13th. And then right after that, we'll go straight into checkpoint 2, where you guys are going to start writing your speeches, start writing your RAs. You're going to learn a little bit more on team dynamics, but you're mostly going to plan for convention and SLDC. And then, of course, you have a Christmas party. So super fun. We have the Margaret Mayu Blue Jacket Awards. And as state officers, you guys get to go around the state and deliver these blue jackets. Who in here would like to explain what the Margaret Mayu Blue Jacket Award is? Does anyone know? Did anyone receive a Margaret Mayu Blue Jacket?
We had somebody else from our chapter receive one, but I don't remember exactly what you have to do to get one.
I know they have to write. Don't they have to write an essay of like what the FFA has done for them and like what it means to them and why they feel they should get a jacket too? And yeah, I think I remember one of our members doing that as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what Colin and Kinsey said. The Margaret Mayu Blue Jacket Award is it's an award that you can receive after writing an essay about what the jacket means to you and why you would like to have the jacket and what you'll do with it throughout your years of being a member. And so those essays are graded, and then select members are chosen to receive a free jacket. Lots of times this is their very first jacket that they'll ever receive, and so it's really exciting for our state officers to be able to bring those to them and do a whole presentation at their chapter. So that's super exciting.
A little background on Miss Margaret. I'm sure a lot of you don't know who she is because it's been a while. Dr. Ronald Mayu was executive secretary back from 2007 to 14. His wife was Miss Margaret, super sweet lady. She passed away in 2013. And so in her memory, her children donate funds every year to purchase 25 jackets. And so it's the Mayu family who is still contributing money in memory of their mom to present jackets to students. Then Dr. Mayu passed away the next year in 2014. There's another scholarship in his memory that goes to current ag teachers who want to go to graduate school. So the family is giving several $1,000s a year to fund jackets and scholarships. So it's really cool that they're staying involved in FFA in honor of their parents.
And y'all can see how excited Jillian was to give out her jacket. So it is fun to be able to get those. All right. We have Twyla filming. Twyla is a news agency in Louisiana. It stands for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. And so Twyla lets us take over their segment 1 week in February. It's the same week as it's FFA week that it airs, but you will be filming all throughout the fall leading up to Christmas, and then we'll put those videos together and make an entire news segment that will go on Twyla. Once our videos are made, you get to go to Twyla, to their actual facilities, and film with their fancy news cameras and with their mics. And so I know the state officers absolutely loved going and seeing what their facilities looked like and being able to do all those fun videos there. And so you guys will get to pick the theme of what you want your news segment to be about. This year they did the motto. And so you'll pick whatever theme you would like to do. You'll go to different chapters and facilities to film the content that will explain that theme. You'll interview one person from either the chapter or the facility that you go to, and then film at least 1 hour of content in B-roll. And so some of these are some news terms that as you step into becoming a state officer and once you get started with Twyla filming, Mr. Lejeune and state staff will definitely explain all these different jargon, all the different jargon to you guys. And so you don't necessarily have to know what B-roll or anything is right now, but just know that you're going to edit all this content plus the narrations. We're going to send that over to Twyla, and then you will go to the Twyla studios in Baton Rouge to film the actual episode, and it will air during National FFA Week. And so that is super fun. Did anyone here have, was their chapter interviewed? I actually know Jasmine was interviewed for Twyla this year, so that was really fun. Did you like it, Jasmine? Tell us a little bit about your experience with it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty neat, and I really liked the questions that they asked me. It gave me insight on myself, and so it's just a neat process, and it's a process that nothing like that I've ever been a part of before. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So Twyla filming is super fun. And this will take several months. And so you will, like I said, be filming way beforehand. But then you will actually go to the studios in February to film the actual episode.
I know Lay was on it this past year too.
Yeah, Lay, how did you like it?
It was, to put it in perspective, it was a very blessed opportunity. It was something that I wasn't used to at first. I guess trying to think on top of my head was something that I've learned being an area officer. So I guess it was something that I was taking a part of. I think it was a big blessing overall, and I'm kind of glad that they chose my chapter to come to. So overall, it was a really good experience.
Exactly. That's awesome. And so you guys get to pick the members next year that will be highlighted and the different chapters that will be highlighted. So that's super fun. We have SLDC, and so this is like a second training for our area officers. And so our area officers at convention serve as our state leadership delegates. And so SLDC stands for State Leadership Delegate Conference. And so this is where you're going to teach them how to become leadership delegates, how to delegate the issues that are sent for state convention, and then how to write and present workshops and team activities again as well. This year, their theme for SLDC was mystery. It was an escape room. And so you can see Camille with her little magnifying glass. I think they had a good year or a good time at this conference. It was in Alexandria. I'm not sure if it'll be in Alexandria again, but I do know it should be in February. So. We have Video Day Weekend. So Video Day Weekend is where we film all the videos that you will have for state convention. And so all the different content that you see at state convention is filmed in about 2 days. It's a super long day. We actually just got back from our Video Day Weekend. We had to postpone it a little bit, so we did it Wednesday and Thursday. The state officers filmed their runouts, their parent advisor videos, their military videos, call to convention. And so all the content that you're about to see, we just filmed. Emily, what was your favorite part about Video Day Weekend that we just had?
All right, well, I'm gonna give y'all some little background, some little secrets. Definitely playing in the bubbles and the foam machines was my favorite, and I guess getting the color powder in my face, exploded in my face. My ear is still green, by the way, guys. I'm still pulling green powder out of my ear. So that was fun.
Exactly. So we have some fun surprises for you guys, but kind of like Emily said, we have lots of color, bubbles. Convention is going to be fun this year. And so they had, I think, a great time filming some of that content that we had this weekend. And you can see Ellie and Cade with their little poses getting ready to film runouts. So that will be in March. Okay. We have state CDEs. So just like you have to attend state LDEs, you also have to attend state CDEs. Here, you're going to celebrate member achievements again. Engage with the members, hype them up. They're competing. Everyone, I'm sure, has competed in an LDE or CDE. And so you know how nerve-wracking that can be. So as state officers, if you're not competing yourself, you will help just kind of encourage the members and make sure that they have confidence before they go into that room. You're going to present the awards, pop the banners, and take lots of pictures. Right. Then we have Capitol Day. So Capitol Day, it's in May this year, but it's usually between April and May. The date just kind of changes based on what they're doing at the Capitol. But you get to advocate for FFA, for ag education, and for agriculture at the state Capitol and meet with legislators. And so all the chapters across the state are invited to come to Capitol Day. We have a big luncheon on the patio. You get to meet with the different legislators and representatives from your own areas. Sorry, I didn't mean to. But you get to talk to, as you can see in the picture, we're talking to one of the representatives at the state Capitol. We do tours. It's a huge day at the Capitol. There's lots of people there. They have booths set up. This year, we have some cool surprises for anyone who's attending. Raise your hand if you plan on coming to Capitol Day this year. Yeah, awesome. Owen, Autumn, perfect. Michaela, yeah, it's gonna be super fun. The food's super good. So Capitol Day is also one of those fun events, but it is mandatory that you go. Okay, and state convention, of course, is mandatory. I'm not sure why anyone wouldn't want to attend their state convention out of everything. I think state convention is the most fun. And so you guys as state officers will come about a week before state convention actually starts. We're going to set everything up. You have to practice your sessions, your greetings, your luncheons, your activities. You will chair a session. And so if you were at state convention last year, you may remember Colton and Grace, and their theme last year was Netflix. And so they had the Karate Kid or Cobra Kai as their session theme that they chaired for. And so maybe you remember them like punching the wood, or maybe you remember Sydney and Abigail rolling onto stage with the scooter, right? And so you get to do lots of fun skits that pertain to whatever session or whatever theme that you have for convention. You'll do opening ceremonies every day. You'll give your retiring address, which is 8 to 10 minutes long. So that's one of the longest speeches you give throughout your year of service. We have reflections, and then of course you celebrate the members' accomplishments and the members and engage with members. And so it's just a really great way to kind of wrap up your year of service, but also the year that our members have had, and really award them and just all their accomplishments that they've had throughout the year. So that's great. It's a long week. You're there for 9 days as state officers and state staff. And so it's super long. You're super tired. I think after state convention, I probably slept for an entire day after we got finished, much like everyone, just because it is so tiring. And then, of course, the new team is also picked to take the place of the current team. And so that's what you guys are going to be doing. And so you will be chosen to pick or to take the place of the current team this year. So that's exciting. After your year of service, we do have a post-convention retreat. And so it's one day. You'll get to debrief your state officer year, explore the ways to transfer and redirect the skills that you've learned from that year into the real world and to whatever you are going into after your year of service. You'll become an FFA alumni, and so you'll get to see the different ways that you can contribute as an alumni. And then you continue living with purpose, of course, and keep your legacy alive. And so you kind of learn how to remember your roots, but to go on and explore new things after your FFA journey, and just learn how to use the things that you've learned to find new opportunities and new ways to grow. All right. So we're going to go over capstone and make sure that you guys understand what capstone is. So capstone is what Louisiana FFA uses to ensure that our state officers gain personal growth, premier leadership, and career success. And so we implement a state officer program, capstone program. And so the program consists of checkpoints, the booklet, and habitudes. And so I can show y'all what that looks like. This is habitudes. And so you will get this. I don't know if you can see it because I can't see myself, but anyways, if you can see it, this is the habitudes book. We send out different ones every year, but you will be mailed out a habitudes book right after checkpoint. And so you will get it around Christmas time in the mail. And then after Christmas, you will start your reflections. So you have a weekly reflections that relates to the booklet that you'll be given. And so here's the booklet. I don't know if you can see that either. It's really thick. It's like a journal. You get to write about everything that you do. Each week, you get to send it to the state officer coordinator, and they kind of get to keep track of the different things that you've done, different experiences you've had. It has different questions to kind of guide you in journaling those experiences. And so you will get that and receive that in a Google form every week from the state officer coordinator. And so for me, like I send our little reflections to the state officer team every Friday. Sometimes I forget and they have to remind me, but I do send them out every Friday, and then they just have to have their answers into me by Monday night so that I can go through and check them all and kind of get to see the fun things that they've been doing. So after December, that's when that habitudes book is sent to you. And so you will do the booklet and habitudes together on a weekly basis after December. And so the booklet really just ensures, like I said, it's like a journal. You get to write down all the things that you've done throughout the year. It has those questions that kind of guide you in that experience, ask you what your weaknesses are, what you can grow in. And then when Habitudes rolls around, it helps have that same journaling experience, but it really helps you transition out of your year of service, because it is a big transition. And so being a state officer is unlike any experience you've ever had, and unlike anything that you ever will have. And so it's been 4 years since I've been a state officer, and I can still tell you without a shadow of doubt that state office was one of the most unique experiences I've ever had to this day. And so with that, you really have to learn how to transition out of that state officer mindset once you are done. And so that's why we have this program, and we started this program is so that it could help you guys long after you are a state officer. Okay. The checkpoints, that's just base camp and checkpoint number 2, which we explained to you. So those are the week-long trainings that you have. You'll have one right after state convention, and then you'll have one in December. And so those are just the in-state training experiences. They're delivered after your election and then halfway throughout your state officer year. And they cover the different focus areas. And so that may be successful workshops, public speaking, conversation skills, and even team dynamics. And so those are just some of the different things that you'll learn throughout your checkpoints. The booklet, that's what the booklet looks like. I'm not sure if you saw it when I held it up earlier, but that's what the front looks like. You have weekly topics suggested by both National FFA and past Louisiana state officers. It's a self-reflection guide. You have your state officer responsibilities and calendar right there with you. And then you also have additional resources listed within that booklet. We send that straight to you. You're given that at state convention once you are elected in your state officer backpack. And so you have that booklet, you take it home with you. It's yours to keep, but you do have a daily prompt as well as a weekly prompt throughout your entire year of service with that. And then we have Habitudes. And so each chapter consists of 3 to 5 pages of stories and solutions that kind of prepare state officers for the end of their service. Like I said, it's a national program. And so state officers throughout the nation are participating in Habitudes. It's not just Louisiana. It's the same state officers for the same year, just in different states, as you will also be doing this Habitude program. All right, so we're going to jump to state officer policies. These are the guidelines that you have to adhere to for your year of service. So before we continue, is there any questions about the different communication responsibilities in general, mandatory events that you guys are going to have to attend? Are there any questions that anyone has for me?
I have a question. So I have National Forestry 4-H competition right in the middle of the State Officer Summit at Washington, D.C. Like, is the State Officer Summit like a if you can't attend then don't bother running type thing, or like what are the expectations when it comes to the State Officer Summit?
Yeah, perfect. So that's a great question. So state officer mandatory events, like we said, they are mandatory. We do understand that life happens, that you have amazing opportunities. And so when you have different things that overlap like that, you'll just have to let us know. Mr. Lejeune is he's the one that decides whether or not, like, yes, you can miss because of this, or no, you can't miss because of your meeting with your grandpa, right? And so like it really just depends on what you have going on, what it is that's overlapping, the opportunity, the benefit from that, and of course like what it is that we're doing. And so that's just something that you'll have to discuss with Mr. Lejeune after you're elected. I will say any opportunity that's like scholarship wise, competition wise, those are always excused. So because it is State Officer Summit, though, Dina, you will have to talk to Mr. Lejeune. I can actually just ask him as soon as I'm done with this call, let him know, and we can send it to you. But I definitely wouldn't say that that is something that would keep you from running.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
What about 4-H? Like I have like with wetland ambassadors and ag ambassadors, we have retreats and all that. what would be like who would I talk to about that if I
So you would talk to the state officer coordinator. And so in this case, that would be me right now. However, I'm graduating in May, so y'all will have a different state officer coordinator. And so that's a surprise that you'll find out once you're elected on who that will be. But for 4-H, you can still do other extracurriculars. So just because you become a state officer doesn't mean that you have to quit the other extracurriculars you're in. If they overlap with those mandatory events, like I said, you'll just have to speak with whoever is in charge with Mr. Lejeune, and they will decide whether you still have to attend or if you can go to that event.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, let's go to state officer policies. So you must submit a copy of your driver's license or ID with your state officer application. So we will go through. Is there anyone who hasn't already done that? Eden? Okay. You'll just have to have some type of identification, mainly because we are flying, and so they like to have that before, because Miss Eton actually buys the plane tickets before you guys are even, or right after. This is the day that you are elected. She buys your plane tickets for Washington, D.C. And so is there anyone else who hasn't sent in their ID? No.
How do we get a passport? Like, that's something that I don't know how to do, and I was gonna ask for like if I do get elected for when we're flying, does she help out with the passports, like doing it and all? Because I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, so you only need a passport if you go outside of the country. And so if that is an opportunity that is presented to you as a state officer, then we will help you get that passport. But as of just being a state officer in general, you won't need a passport. You'll just need your identification. So your driver's license for to be able to fly, because we stay in state for everything unless that opportunity is given to you. Awesome. Did somebody else have a question?
I do have one question. So I'm quite literally going to get my license right after this meeting. Is there anywhere I can turn that into, or is that just something that can wait till later, or can I email it to somebody, something like that?
Yeah, so you will just scan it, and if you want to email it to me, I'll send it over to Miss Eton, and so that's perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you.
And I have my email listed at the end, so I'll give that to you guys. Just make sure you write that down, and I'll let you send it to me. Perfect.
I uploaded a picture of my learner's permit. Do I still need it when I get my license, turn that in as well?
Yeah, when you become elected, once you're elected, if you sent in just an identification, so some type of ID, that's perfectly fine for right now. Once you get that driver's license, if you're elected, you can send in that driver's license to Miss Eton. And so for right now, you're good as long as you uploaded something. Hudson, did you have a question?
That was my question.
Same question. Yeah. So if you uploaded some type of valid ID identification, you're perfectly fine right now. And we will reach out to you if we need something else updated, or your actual driver's license once you get it. Okay. So we also, like I said, we travel across the state. So another reason we need your driver ID or your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance, which we'll all get after you're elected. And so you don't have to send that to us unless you're elected, and we'll send you all the information for that stuff. But the only reason we need that is because you do drive to different chapter visits, and we have to make sure that it is legal for you to drive. Like Mr. Lejeune said, you have to be willing to fly, and anytime we travel, cost is not something that you should worry about, because nothing is out of pocket as long as we travel all together. And we do reimburse meals and everything. So you could potentially go throughout your entire state officer year and not spend a dime if you didn't want to. Of course, we don't reimburse things like when you go and travel, just different like knickknacks you pick up, anything that you want. that isn't necessarily reimbursed. We reimburse 50 cents per mile when you drive your vehicle on an official business. We reimburse up to 90 minutes of non-required travel, except for 2 chapter visits. And so if you go to a chapter visit that's out of 90 minutes away from where you're at, we can't reimburse you. However, if it's in those 90 minutes, we will. And so most of your chapter visits that you go to are going to be within the 90 minutes, the ones that you're requested for. If you're requested outside of that 90 minutes, a lot of state officers still go, they're just not reimbursed for that visit. But it's not mandatory that you go to those visits. We have meal reimbursements. So if you have to pay for breakfast, lunch, or a dinner while you're on a trip, we will reimburse you. And so you do that by submitting on an online form to Ms. Eton once a month. And so you'll save all your receipts from any time that you had to get gas, your travel, breakfast, lunch, dinner, anything that you had to buy, supplies for a workshop. You'll just keep those receipts and then you will submit it using an online form. I will say that our reimbursement policies are pretty specific. And so Ms. Eton does look and make sure that you actually did go and get that food. She looks to make sure that you actually did travel to that chapter visit. And so everything is checked. And so it's not just a way to get free money. It is checked that you actually spent that money, and you do have to keep your receipts. But your reimbursements are contingent on fulfilling your requirements. And so let's say, for example, if Emily was not completing her reflections and she submitted a reimbursement form, she would not get that money until she submitted all of her reflections to me. And so if you're not up to date on your responsibilities, you will not get your money back until you fulfill those responsibilities. Are there any questions on reimbursements? No? Awesome. All right, next we have wardrobe. And so we kind of talked about earlier how you have to stay professional with your wardrobe and the different things that you do throughout the year. And so wardrobe is one of those main things that we cater towards with that professionalism. And so you will receive your state officer jacket. You have to wear your tie, your scarves, your polos. They're all going to be provided by the FFA office. Okay, so you don't have to pay for any of that while you're elected. We give you your gold state officer position pins, your chains, your state degree pins. All of that is given by the state office. Officers are going to have to purchase coordinating official dress pants, skirts, tights, and shoes. And so at the very beginning of the year, the thing that you do have to pay for is your skirts, your tights, and your heels, and then pants for boys as well that coordinate. So at base camp, you guys will get together as a team, and the girls will pick out a skirt, and the guys will pick out pants, tights, and then of course the heels, because they all do have to be the same. This year, I think they found theirs for pretty cheap. They wanted most teams try to stay on a budget and keep it as minimal of cost as possible. And so they did go and get those skirts and those shoes. They found them from somewhere that were decently cheap. They were affordable for sure. And then once they purchased them, I think a lot of the skirts for a lot of our state officers this year were way too big. And so they had to get those tailored. And since we had to get those skirts tailored for them, we did refund them throughout the state office. So the state office did pay for those tailors. You're also going to need to have khaki pants, shorts, a brown belt, and shoes for casual official wear. If you have to wear a coat, you can wear a coat. However, you will have to wear the khaki pants or shorts, brown belts, and the same shoes for your casual official. And so you'll pick out 2 polos. We have 2 colors this year. They picked out yellow and blue. I don't think they like the yellow one, so I would recommend that you don't do yellow. But you get to pick out 2 colors for your polos that you'll wear to different chapter visits and different events throughout the year, just when you're not wearing your official dress. You will also pick out shoes. So this year they have Hey Dudes. And so the state office paid for shoes for everyone to have that were similar. So you got to design your Hey Dudes or whatever type of shoe that you do order that you'll get to wear. And it just maintains that professionalism so that everyone looks the same. My biggest thing is when you look at state officers, you know they're state officers. And one of the big reasons that you know they're state officers is by what they're wearing. And so Our state officers also keep that clean, professional look by making sure that they're all consistent, but also just by hygiene, by making sure that, you know, they have the natural color for their hair. You can have dyed hair, but it can't be an unnatural color. They don't wear excessive or super large jewelry, just different things like that that maintain that professionalism through their wardrobe. And then we also have social media. And so I'm sure most of you guys probably follow, or if you haven't, you've seen that our state officers each have a social media account. And so we do have the right to police and take action when social media accounts are used inappropriately. And so the state officers do have rules regarding those social media accounts. But we use it for positive promotion. And so and the state office wants all of the state officers to be able to showcase all the fun and cool things that they're doing, to highlight the members that they interact with, and even to bring that personality of who they are as a state officer to you guys virtually. And so that's why they have those accounts. They post about the events, members, chapters, accomplishments, travel, visits, funds, facts, challenges, whatever they kind of want to you guys so that you can see what they're doing and what state office is like. You can get a demerit, which is kind of like a write-up for your social media if you do not use it the way that it is intended. So we do keep social media. It's definitely watched very closely. Next we have communications. And so I send out a weekly update to my state officers, and they get to see all the different things that we have going on in the weeks upcoming, the days upcoming, different events that they've signed up for, and they see that throughout their weekly update. Sometimes I like to put little gems in there to see if they're actually reading it, that they have to text me. And so we just kind of put that in there to make sure that they're updated. You can see that Cade sometimes doesn't read his weekly update. And that's probably the face he makes when he realizes that I caught him. You guys will respond to those emails within 1 business day, if possible. You're supposed to respond to them within 1 business day. You respond to messages within 8 hours and send or respond to letters within 2 weeks. And so I changed this up. It's going to depend on your state officer coordinator, but for me, I just make my state officers respond to me within 24 hours. And so they have an entire 24 hours to respond to my text message or call after I've called them. And then with emails, I usually do just a few days. It depends on the urgency of the email. And so we do adhere to communications because, like I said, you have a lot of things going on. And if you do not communicate with everyone, then it's going to be really hard to keep up with those due dates. Okay, we have 10-minute break. Before we go, is there any questions you guys have for me so far? No? Y'all ready to have a little break? Go get you some coffee, drink some tea. If you drink some tea, you can run to the bathroom. Yeah, you guys have 10 minutes, so just hop back on at 10:36. I'm just going to let everybody get settled back in, and then we'll continue. Can everybody still see my screen? Is it still showing the break time, the PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Just a reminder, let's keep our cameras on and our mics muted unless we have to speak. I had to move. That sun was right in my face earlier, so I switched over in the office. All right, so now we're going to get into the good stuff. This is probably where you're going to start writing down a lot of information, because we're about to talk about the nominating committee process. All right, and this is what you guys are going to go through to become state officers. So, what is the nominating committee process? It is an interview process that tests candidates' knowledge, their capability, their competency. It's made up of different organized rounds that accurately test skills and are necessary in being a state officer. And so you're scored by a committee of candidates, peers, and mentors. So that means you are being scored by people that are your own age, as well as adults from across Louisiana that are in the agricultural industry. But mainly by your own peers. You are selected by your own peers, which is super important, but also really unique about Louisiana FFA is that we truly do lead or choose our next generation of leaders, right? And so we let our own members choose who is going to lead the state the next year. And so that's super significant, really important, and it's great because, you know, you have your vision for where you want your state to be at, the morals, the values, everything that make that up, that you and your peers have currently, is what's also going to be the standard and what's going to be asked of you guys as you become and you know, participate in this committee process to become that leader. Our nominating committee applications were due the same day that you guys were. And so the nominating committee is also trained just like you guys. And so they have to go through a super thorough school as well to make sure that they are ready to evaluate you guys. And so there really isn't any question as to if this process works or if it's trusted. I can tell you from experience that it definitely is, that it's there to choose the best of the best. And so it's foolproof, I would say. And you can ask Mr. Lejeune. He likes to say a lot of times, back when he was a state officer, you would go into a room and they would ask different questions like, if you had to be a color, what color would you be? I can promise you that is not what our nominating committee process looks like now. It's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more thorough. They really evaluate your skills and your abilities. And so you don't have to worry about getting stumped on a question about what color you would be, because it's nothing like that anymore. So who is the nominating committee? The nominating committee is 8 current FFA members from around the state. They're from all areas across the state. And then you have 4 adult members who represent each area as well, and 1 past state officer. And so here's a picture from a few years ago of the nominating committee, and that's kind of what your panel of judges is going to look like. The primary goal of the nominating committee is to select the 10 best student representatives of Louisiana FFA to represent our association. Our secondary goal is to provide all officer candidates with a positive developmental experience. And so like I said, even just going through the process, because it is so rigorous, because it is so effective, is that you grow throughout the process even in itself. And so even if you are not elected to be one of the new state officers for the incoming year, you're still going to grow, and you're going to learn and gain a bunch of skills that you wouldn't have had before stepping into this process and into being the role of a candidate. And so those are our 2 goals, but of course we do want to ensure that you guys are also taking back as much as you can from this experience, even if you don't become a state officer. Okay. So then the primary and secondary goals are accomplished by our nominating committee utilizing a highly structured process. Like I said, it's trusted, it's foolproof. There's a lot of data and statistics that go into our process now. We employ a fair and transparent process. And so every single candidate that goes through this school is going to learn. And just like each of you guys are about to be told, we're going to tell you exactly what the rounds are. We're going to tell you exactly how the judges will judge you on your competencies, what they're looking for. And so we're transparent. We tell you exactly what this process is going to look like. And so there's no guessing, there's no secrets. It's just, are you going to take this information, apply it to your training, and make sure that you hit the things that they're looking for. We also engage the committee and candidates in a professional interviewing experience. And so you are not going to be in front of an entire crowd. It's not going to be loud. You're not going to have distractions. This is it's separated from convention a little bit. It's a few days before convention. And so we just make sure that everything is super professional and that your experience and you don't have any distractions, and just pretty much in the case that your experience going through the process is as beneficial to you as it can be. We also provide all candidates access to current and relevant resources in preparing for the selection process. That's on our website, so I will show you guys how to get to that. But we do give you resources that will help you as you go through your training. We employ the use of competencies to measure candidates' abilities as a national officer candidate. I was supposed to say state officer candidate, but same difference. It's your ability that we use and that we measure is across the nation. And so we get that from National FFA. And so these are the standards that National FFA imposes that state officers should be able to have. Okay. I missed some of these dates. I didn't update them. The 2024 selection committee process consists of 6 rounds. And so you have round 1, which is your personal panel introduction, round 2, which is your one-on-one interviews, round 3, which is stand and deliver, round 4, advocacy, round robin, round 5, facilitation, and round 6 is your final panel. We're about to dive into those different rounds. So is there any questions before we get into that, just over the overall general selection committee process? No? All right. So selection interview rounds, we're going to go through those first. And like I said, that nominating committee, that is who your judges is going to be. That's who is going to judge you for every single round. Round 1 is your personal panel introduction. So for this round, you're going to have 5 minutes to answer 3 introductory questions before the entire committee. Questions are designed to get to know you, right? So this is just where you go in, you show your personality, you tell them a little bit about yourself. Some examples of the questions they may ask are, how do you show others that they can trust you? What is something valuable that you bring to a team? And what is your definition of leadership? Now, I'm not saying that these are going to be the questions that they do ask you, but this is a good example of those questions that you may be asked. Okay, so they're going to follow this format. Again, you have 5 minutes to answer these 3 questions. And so once you hit that 5-minute mark, your timer is going to go off and someone will pull you from the room. And so if you don't get to finish one of your questions, you will still be pulled and you won't have the time to finish that question. So it's really important that you try to get to all of your answers within 5 minutes while also elaborating on those questions to be able to hit every question within the 5 minutes, but also you're not saying, 1 sentence per question, right? You still want to elaborate and give some depth to your answers. Are there any questions about the very first round?
So I guess this is a question for all the rounds. If you're running low on time, will they let you know that like you have like a minute left or something to where you
Yeah.
can wrap up your answers?
So typically, for every single round, we are going to have some volunteer. We have volunteers at convention, state staff member that will be standing in the room, and it's not the nominating committee, it's just a staff member. And so their sole purpose is to watch the time. And so they start the timer for you. And then once you get to the 1 minute mark, sometimes they hold up a piece of paper that says 1 minute. Sometimes they knock on a door, but they'll give you a thumbs up. Whatever it is, they will give you that 1 minute mark.
Okay, thank you.
And sometimes it varies. It may be 1 minute, it may be 30 seconds. It's usually around 1 minute. Sometimes I've seen 30 seconds, but they will let you know when you have to wrap it up.
Will we know when we like when we go into the interview room, will they tell us what kind of signal it will be, or are we just gonna have to look for it?
No, before every single round, they should and they will. I'll make sure that they do. But they'll tell you what signal they're going to give you and how long that they're going to give that signal at. So whether that's 1 minute or 30 seconds or 2 minutes, however it may be. All right. And it also may change, the timing may change based on the round. And so maybe for your first round, they say, we'll give you a warning at 30 seconds. But for your stand and deliver where you have to give a speech, they may say, oh, well, we're going to give you a signal at a minute, just because that's a more lengthy round, right? So that may vary. Any other questions on your first get to know you introduction round? All right. And that round is in front of the entire nominating committee. So you will have the 8 members and the 4 adult members, as well as the 1 past state officer. So you will be doing that entire interview in front of 9 committee members. Round 2 is the one-on-one interviews. And so what this is going to look like is you will have 3 minutes to interview with each member of the committee individually. Okay. All right. So let me make sure that sounds as clear as possible. There's 9 members of the committee. You are going to interview with every single one, and you will have 3 minutes with each committee member. Okay. And so, for example, if I was a state officer candidate running, I would go to, let's just say, one of the committee members named is Sarah. So I'll have 3 minutes sitting with Sarah. She will ask me one question. I'll have 3 minutes to answer that one question with Sarah. When the timer goes off, they'll say switch. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to go to the next person. Maybe the next committee member is John. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to sit down. I will have 3 minutes to answer John's question. And you're going to do that for the 9 committee members. So this is a really long round, but it's super fast. Okay. And so they will just each ask you one question. Does that make sense? That's clear. Awesome.
Okay, so I sorry, I know you did say this. So I was reading the PowerPoint. It says the 13, so it's only 9 of the 13 that are going to be interviewing us for one-on-one.
It does differ. It's going to be majority of the committee members. Sometimes it does change. It depends on how many committee members. You for sure have 9 committee members every year. Sometimes we have a few more if we have more students or like send in applications to be committee members.
Okay.
But you will definitely have 9.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to tell us how many committee members there are yet?
I'm not currently. We do have to verify. We have to check all of the committee members' applications. And so I don't think they've been verified yet, but they have to be checked for complete membership and make sure that they don't have someone from their chapter running as a state officer candidate. And so I'm not sure that process has been fully fulfilled, but I can send you guys an email and let you guys know how many there will be. Either me or Mr. Adam, who is our nominating committee representative, our state staff member. We'll send some more detailed information if you guys would like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. And so an example question for this round is they may ask, tell me about a time that you worked with someone different than yourself, or where do you see yourself in 10 years? All right. And so you'll have 3 minutes to answer that question. And then when the timer goes off, they'll say stand up and switch, and you'll go to the next committee member. All right. Is there any questions for this round? All right. Then we have our stand and deliver round. And so all of these 3 rounds are going to be on the very first day. So that's going to be on Saturday. That is June 1st. You have your 3rd round where you're going to give your speech. And so you will be expected to give a 4 to 5 minute speech to the committee on an assigned topic. And so you'll be moved to a preparation room where you're going to be given the topic and 20 minutes to prepare the speech. You will not know the speech or the topic until you are brought to that preparation room. All right. Once you have those 20 minutes to prepare, you'll then be given a 4 to 5 minute speech to the committee on whatever topic that was. Estate staff will monitor and observe the room to keep time. Once your time is up, they'll move you to the room so that you can present. Are there any questions for me so far?
So for each round, are cuts made at each round?
No, cuts are not made at each round. They are made, if a cut is made, it will be made after the 3rd round. So after you get done with this, the stand and deliver, you will then have your cut.
Is there a way that we can find like example prompts for this kind of thing? Like what kind of, is it going to be like a speech to convince somebody or something? Or is it going to be like, we're fake, like a fake audience?
They will give you the audience that you're talking to. It'll be a prompt as in a whole paragraph, right? And so it'll say, let me think of an example off the top of my head. Maybe it says, you are meeting with legislators to discuss ag policy in the upcoming policy regulations at the Capitol, right? Give a speech on this specific or ag education and literacy in Louisiana FFA. Does that make sense? So you have your audience, you have your setting, and then they have what you're going to give a speech on. I don't think it'll be that advanced. That's just something I kind of thought off the top of my head. And so it definitely won't be that advanced. It will be a difficult prompt. So I'm not saying that the difficulty won't be there, but you're not necessarily going to have to speak about ag policy. Okay, that's just
okay. Thank you.
Can you give us an example of a prompt that was given to us a candidate last year, or are you not allowed?
I can go find example prompts, but I can't give you the exact ones that were given last year. I can give example prompts. I'll just have to go find one. Okay. Awesome. Is there any other questions? No. Another staff member will also, this is continued for that, but like I said, oh look, here's our prompt. I forgot that I put that in there. Another staff member will keep time, and they'll be given a warning when 1 minute is remaining, and you'll stop at 6 minutes, right? So, after you give your speech, the committee will ask you one question based off the speech that you gave. And then you, as the candidate, will have 2 minutes to respond. So an example prompt is, as a state officer, you're asked to give a speech to a random high FFA chapter. Senior members on why they should join the Louisiana FFA alumni once they graduate. In your presentation, you should cover what the FFA alumni is, the benefits of joining, and what the alumni does to help the Louisiana FFA Association. Okay, so that's your example prompt. I forgot that I put that in there. I was thinking, I was like, man, I thought I put one in for everything. So yes, there's your example. You have the time that you'll have to give that speech in, and then you'll be asked one question after your speech, and you'll have 2 minutes to respond. Any questions based on this now?
In our prep time, we don't have resources, right?
You will have paper and pen. You'll have index cards, but you won't have a computer thing or books that you can look at.
And just to clarify, the 1 minute warning will be given at 5 minutes, not like we're cut off at 6. Will it be given 1 minute before 5 minutes or 1 minute before 6 minutes?
It'll be given 1 minute before when you have 1 minute left. And so it'll be given before. Any other question? No? Okay. Like I said, if there is a cut, we don't ensure that there's a cut for every single nominating process every year. It just depends on the members, or not the members, but how many applicants we have that year. And so I can't ensure that we're going to have a cut, but if we do, it will be after this round. And they will post it, and then everything will it'll be posted, and you'll be able to see if you made the cut or not. If we do have that cut and you make it, you will have round 4, which is going to be on Sunday. And so you have 3 rounds of interviews for each candidate with representatives from FFA, agricultural education, and the agricultural industry. Okay, so there's 1 representative from FFA, 1 from agricultural education, and 1 from the agricultural industry. Okay, and so a representative from FFA, that might look like an advisor. A candidate from agricultural education, well, that may look like a 4-H agent. And then 1 from the agricultural industry, that might be a representative from Farm Bureau. Okay. And so the committee will be divided into 3 groups to observe the interaction between the candidate and the representative. So I want to make sure that this is clear. The representatives from FFA, from the agricultural education, and the agricultural industry are not members of the committee. They are separate people that will be brought in. Okay. This is a round robin, so you will have 3 rooms that you enter. Okay. And so you will go into a room with a representative from FFA, and a group of the committee members will be watching you interact with that member from FFA solely. You will not interact with the committee. You will interact with that member only, or with the representative only. Okay. And so it's not the committee that's asking you these questions now for this round. It's going to be the representative that you are with. And the committee is just going to watch you interact with this representative. So based on that information, is there any questions you guys have?
I do have a question, Ms. Elizabeth.
Yes.
So we would have to find means of like sleeping down there, or will we be able to travel there and back? I'm just curious.
So we provide you with hotel rooms. So
Okay.
you can be staying.
Okay.
Yep, free of cost. Because it is a loan process and it spans over 2 days. So let's see. You will jump from one room to the next and then to the next. So again, you will be interacting with 3 different people. Okay. 1 round will be media style. So that means radio, TV, newspaper, magazine. The committee is going to see how well you can conduct a media style interview, right? With a representative from either FFA, agricultural education, or the agriculture industry. 1 round will also be oh, and sorry, you'll have 4 minutes in each room, and then you'll be rotated to the next meeting. Okay. And like I said, the committee is not going to participate in the conversation or ask questions. They're just going to watch. All right. So before going into the conversation, all candidates will have 1 minute to read a prompt about who they will be talking to and what will be the topic of conversation. Okay. And so you'll be out in the hall. They'll say, we're going to bring you into your first room. Here's your prompt. They're going to give you a piece of paper. You have 1 minute to read that prompt. You go in, you interact with whatever representative you were given in that prompt. So an example prompt would be, you're about to speak to Mr. Ag teacher from a random high school FFA chapter. He is wondering how to get his students more interested in competing in different career development events. Many of his students do not come from agricultural backgrounds, so they don't feel that they can be successful in these competitions. As a state officer, you are asked to have a conversation with this ag teacher about how to get more non-traditional FFA members like those at his school involved with CDEs. Okay, and so you'll be given 3 of these because you're going to have 3 rooms that you're going to have to enter. Does that make sense for everybody? Yeah, cool. All right. Are there any questions about the round robin style? Nope. Okay. Round 5 is facilitation.
Will we be given the one prompt before we go into?
Sorry, say it again.
Will we be given one prompt at a time, or like all 3 prompts at once?
You'll be given one prompt at a time.
Okay.
And so you'll go into one room. They'll have you in the hallway. All right. So they'll bring you up. They'll be like, "Are you ready?" You'll be like, "Yeah, I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm going to do great." Right. You're standing in the hallway. They're going to give you a prompt. They'll give you 1 minute to read it. You'll go in. You'll have your 4-minute interview. You'll walk out. They're going to bring you to the next room. They're going to say, "All right, you ready for this one?" You're going to say, "Yeah, I got this." They're going to give you another piece of paper, your prompt. You're going to go in. You're going to have your 4 minutes. You're going to come back out. Same thing. Last round. Okay. That makes sense?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Round 5. This is the last round. You're going to be given 30 minutes to prepare a 10-minute portion of a student workshop in front of a student audience. Okay. So this is another thing where the committee is going to be watching you interact with members. Okay. And so candidates will be given an overall objective and be expected to provide experience and a learning opportunity. So candidates will be provided with materials that they can incorporate into their demonstration. You'll have, scrap paper, pens, pencils. You may have cups. You'll have different materials. We can't tell you what those materials will be, but you will have different materials so that you can present a workshop that you can base activities off of to give a workshop on whatever theme is given in the prompt to the student members. Okay. Depending on the number of candidates, you're going to be working with other candidates. And so you'll be split up into groups of 2 to 3 people. Okay, so you're not doing this alone. You will have other candidates. Okay, awesome. An example prompt is, as a state officer, you've been asked to present a workshop for this random FFA chapter. Their advisor has asked you to present a demonstration to their first-year agri-science students on FFA opportunities and how to find your place inside the organization. All right. So based on this, what questions do you have for me for round 5?
About how many students can we expect how many people can we expect in the workshop?
I'm going to say it depends on how many volunteers we have at that moment. Anywhere between 5 and 15.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you won't have like 50 students or anything, but you'll definitely have more than 2 or 3. Any other questions?
I have
I do.
one.
Oh,
I'm
you go
sorry.
ahead.
Okay, so my question is, for the facilitation round, will we be being watched while we are preparing? Like, is the committee going to be watching that, how we work together, or is it only going to be in the actual room where we're presenting that they're going to watch?
It's only the actual room that they're presenting that they're going to watch.
Okay.
But you should still maintain those skills of teamwork and communication.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Right? Like,
yeah. I was just making sure. I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's a great question.
Okay. Thank you.
So my question is I personally haven't been to a lot of workshops, not really sure how they work or like what really goes on. So our goal for these workshops, is it more to demonstrate experiences and what you can gain personally through FFA, or are we looking more to educate them on the facts of FFA?
So it's mainly going to depend on what your prompt is. That depicts whether you're going to tell more about your experience in FFA or if you're going to have to tell more about knowledge. And so that will lie in the actual prompt. I can say what they're judging you guys on is not going to be how perfectly can you present a workshop in the way that Louisiana FFA trains you guys to present these workshops, right? Because the thing is you haven't had the training to be able to be a facilitator. So it's not that that's what they're looking for. What they're looking for is to see if you can work as a team with other candidates, to see if you can interact and engage student members, to see how well you can communicate. And so those are the skills that they're looking for. Not that you give a workshop perfectly in the perfect systematic way that Louisiana FFA gives workshops, right? And so don't worry if you've never given an actual workshop. Just think more on skills like communication wise, teamwork ability, that stuff. Okay, being able to read a prompt and give what they actually ask you for. Those are the things that's going to be important for this round.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are there any like restrictions for who you can be paired with? Like, can you not be paired with somebody from your chapter if two people from the same chapter are running? Is it just completely random?
It's completely random. Yeah. And so it's up to the nominating committee. They may change some things up to where you aren't paired with someone from your chapter if you are running with someone from your chapter, but that's not a guarantee. For the most part, it is completely random. They just want to see how you interact with people.
Thank you.
All right. Round 6, the final panel. So candidates will have 5 minutes to answer 3 questions before the entire committee. This is a lot like your very first round. And so this is your last time to really show who you are as a person, and why you should be an FFA state officer. And so the setup and procedure is going to be identical to the very first panel round. And an example questions would be, why should we choose you to represent the Louisiana FFA Association? How have you been honest throughout this process? If elected, what might you be scared of? These are going to be catered more towards you in Louisiana FFA, whereas the first one is more catered towards you as a person. Now, this is still asking for your personality, just your personality in our organization and how you would handle things. All right. Now we're going to talk about the competencies that they're going to grade you guys on. Well, did anybody have any questions about that final round? Yeah. Okay. So competencies is what you're going to be graded on. Does anyone want to give me like a quick little definition of what a competency might be?
Is it kind of like the things that they're looking for type thing and like the things that you show whenever you're in your interview?
Yeah, exactly. And so competency is just what you are going to be measured. It's the skills that are going to be measured in your interviews. Okay. And so this is consistent among all of the interviews. They're going to grade you on your answers, on the way that you interact with members, on the way you interact with the candidates you're in, depending on the round. But each round will look at these different competencies every single time. And so one is communication. They're going to see how well you can communicate. They want to see that you can demonstrate the effective forms of communication. That's nonverbal, that's listening, that's written, speaking, and facilitation to convey a message in both large groups and one-on-one settings. Okay, so that's the first. Next is team player. They want you to demonstrate that you have the ability to work in a team setting, that you value diversity in opinion, that you work to be inclusive in the process, and that you're willing to put others above yourself. Okay. And they're looking for all of these throughout your answers, throughout the way that you work, and through every single way that they may see you in the introductional or in the nominating committee process. Then they're going to look at your areas of knowledge. And so they want to see that you have the ability to articulate the systematic nature of fiber, food, and agriculture and natural resource issues, FFA, educational issues, and all respective current issues that have to deal with education, the agriculture industry, and FFA. So they're going to test that knowledge. Do y'all need me to wait? Are y'all writing down stuff from this slide, or should I go on?
Yes, please. Can you wait just a second?
I can definitely wait. All right. Here's the next two competencies. And so one is character. And it's they want to see that you can display a disposition that is authentic, that is inclusive, responsible, honest, mature, confident, and respectful. So they're going to look for that in your answers, and again, how you interact with the people that you're around for every interview, or for every round in every interview that you have. And then next is influence. They want to see that you can demonstrate the ability to influence others through modeling expectations, building relationships, and growing the organization. So I'll stop and I'll give you all a few seconds to look at these. I'm going to show you guys where to find everything, all the resources we have for state officer candidates on our website. And so you'll get to see the actual scorecards that they use to measure these competencies in all of your rounds. Okay, I'm going to show you guys that at the end. All right. Was there any questions about the competencies? No. Okay. I'm gonna plug my computer in real quick before it dies. So, candidate advancement. This is where we're going to talk about those cuts. Depending on the size of the candidate pool, all candidates should be prepared to undergo a cut and advancement. And so, like I said, that will be after the third round on Saturday. So you have 3 rounds on Saturday, 3 rounds on Sunday. This advancement will be based solely on scores, and they'll be held at the conclusion of round 3. Candidates who do not advance will not participate in the last 3 rounds of the interview process. The advancement will be announced this evening of Saturday, that's June 1st, via individual letters. All candidates and advisors are going to be alerted if there is to be a cut well before state convention, but all candidates should expect and prepare to have an advancement. Okay, any questions about that so far?
I have a question. So if there is a cut and so it's on the Saturday night, what do you do on the Sunday? Like, do you just like stay in your room, or like, what do you do?
You can stay. You can also go home if you'd rather go home. It's up to you and your advisor and what you think is best.
Okay.
All right. Individual practice rounds. So, as done in previous years, we're offering individual practice interviews and rounds with all candidates leading up to state convention. These are not mandatory, but they will give you the chance to practice different rounds that will be similar to those found in the actual process, and you can receive feedback from state staff. An email would be sent out with a sign-up link where you can schedule your practice rounds with us. Okay, and so those will be 30 minutes to an hour of time at a time, depending on the round that you choose. And you can meet with myself. You'll get to meet with some of the other state staff members here if you want to do those practice interview rounds. Again, that's not mandatory, so you do not have to. Any questions for me? No? Awesome. All right, so nominating committee schedule. Saturday, June 1st, all candidates should arrive in official dress to the convention center no later than 9:30 a.m. Rounds will be 1 through 3 will be conducted throughout the day. Lunch and dinner is going to be provided. The cut and advancement, if happening, will be held that evening. Sunday, June 2nd, interview rounds will begin promptly at 8 a.m. and be held throughout the day. Lunch and dinner will be provided again. And then Monday, June 3rd, of course, all candidates should participate in the convention sessions and the events throughout the day. That night, nominating committee's report will be announced at the delegate business session at 7:30 p.m. Are there any questions on the schedule?
Can you leave it up for a minute so I can copy it real quick?
Yeah, of course. I'm also going to post this Canva PowerPoint to the website as well. You should definitely take notes, but as well as the recording in case you guys want to go back and listen to what we have to say or read off some of our slides.
The nominating committee's report, that's gonna be the next officer, or
it cut out a little bit, but I think I heard what you said. So yes, the nominating committee's report is who they have chosen to be the next team. Any other questions? Okay. All right.
Hang on, Elizabeth, before we go back. Let me just tell y'all again, I sent this out to advisors sometime back, but just as a reminder for you to tell your advisors, this year, the way that we're going to handle housing for chaperones, you're more than welcome to bring a chaperone with you to NomCom, either your own advisor or some other adult, that's fine. But the way that we're going to do it this year, they have to reserve their own room and they can send us a receipt for reimbursement after the convention is over, but that also needs to be a double occupancy room. We're only going to reimburse up to, the cost of one room. So like if you have an advisor comes up and they want to stay in a room by themselves, we're not going to reimburse a room for one person. Does that make sense? And we're doing that because in previous years, we've reserved a whole bunch of rooms and then some chaperones didn't show up and we were stuck paying for rooms that weren't occupied. So just let your people know if they want to chaperone, they have to make plans to room with one other person and they'll do it themselves. And then they'll send us the receipt after for reimbursement. Candidate rooms are going to be covered up front.
Are you guys still writing down the schedule? No? Okay. Perfect. State officer candidate pictures. So I will need you guys to send in a picture to my email. And Jasmine, there's my email too. I know you had needed it earlier. So it's erichwine@laffa.org by April 12th. That's next Friday, to be used for your candidate picture on our website. The picture must be of you and no one else in the picture in your official dress. Make sure you look, presentable. Your hair's done. Everything looks the way that you want to be or that you want it to look, because you are going to be on our website. There can be no busy background, no awards or banners in the background. Wall, brick, or nature backgrounds are acceptable. Okay, so if you do it in front of a wall, that's perfect. Just make sure that there's no picture frames or awards or anything behind you. It needs to be a solid blank wall. And then same thing, brick and nature is okay as well. Make sure you're the only person in the picture.
Is this photo include whenever I did the state officer application, it asked for a photo? Will this photo be used or do we send you a separate photo?
So the photos that were uploaded, if they are in adherence to this policy, then we'll use those. However, if I have to reach out to you and say, please upload a different photo, please send that to me, I'll let you know. If you didn't upload a picture, I will also need that sent to me by April 12th. Any other questions about your candidate photos? No? Okay. So your candidacy starts now. Running for state office is an exciting experience, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility and attention, which I'm sure you guys have seen throughout everything that we've talked about today. It's a big commitment. And so just be aware that you have many eyes on you far before you ever walk into the interview room, whether that's through social media, how others view you, the image of yourself that you put out there. You just need to be conscious of that. Your first impressions are very important. So keep in mind how you want members and the committee to view you. Okay. Another thing to think of is you guys won't know who is on the nominating committee beforehand, but they will know who is running for state office. Okay, so they'll know who you are, but you won't know who they are. And so they may go look at your social media, they may go see what you're involved in. And so they're going to get that first impression from that too as well. Okay. Do you guys have any questions about the process or what this is going to look like? No? All right. So you're going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to have the state officers hop on, and then you guys are going to get to ask questions to the state officers regarding their year of service, regarding the process, anything that you want to talk about with them. Okay. So if you want to take these 5 minutes to go ahead and plan what questions you want to ask or to run to the bathroom, that's perfectly fine. Okay. Just be back on by 11, we'll say 28. All right. Awesome.
Hey, come here.
We've got, yeah, y'all might see, they're on a break. So some of them might be on, but some of them are running to take their little break. But we'll start in a few minutes. And for the candidates, we have our state officers hopping on. So feel free.
I don't have my official dress or anything because I didn't know I was going to be able to get on this.
Wait, we had to be an official. Oh, okay. I'm in a women's. Sorry, I just left.
It's okay, guys.
I just left the tutor
It's okay.
session. Like I'm in. I don't know where I'm at right now. But yeah, I mean, I have my crew neck in the back. I can like put it on.
Okay, guys. We also have the candidates on here. So remember that. Thank you.
Hey, Miss Elizabeth, can I show you?
What did you say, Camille?
Can I show you something?
Sure.
Oh, it's gonna be. It's cool. Like, look at the dog.
Wait, I gotta find your face. Hold on.
Yeah, like there's so many here. Oh, look your dog.
Camille, that is so cute. That's Cayenne. Cayenne the dog.
There's a dog.
Miss Elizabeth, my Chromebook is fixing to tap out, so I'm fixing to have to log out. And I got another one right here that I stole from the school, so I'll be right back.
Perfect.
Where's the dog? I heard dog.
That dog is cold.
Dog.
Dog.
I like your dog, Camille. I'm so glad you showed that to me. Can I ask how you named it or why you named it Cayenne?
I don't know. My dad gave me like 3 name options, and he's like, this, or this. I was like, okay. I mean, she's spicy like kind.
I think it's a fitting name then. I love it. We're gonna let Owen jump back on and on his other Chromebook, and then we'll start the Q&A. So we'll just give him a few more minutes.
Okay, perfect.
I'm disconnect right now because I'm on. There we go.
Perfect.
Elizabeth, I just told Miss Brittany, said, look, one of your gingerbreads, you're famous.
I know. I love that picture.
She thought that somebody was actually holding one right now. She said, doggone, that thing would be stale by now. No, just a picture.
You're actually in that picture, but you were in your pajamas, and I was scared that you wouldn't want that on the screen for all the candidates.
I mean, I do wear pajamas just like everyone else, believe it or not. I don't sleep in a coat and tie to,
That is true. I didn't know if you
to the disbelief of everyone.
We're just gonna wait for Owen, but he's hopping on real quick. That's probably him.
Miss Elizabeth,
yes.
I have a question. So my ag teacher just had a baby this weekend. So would it be able, can I change his email to my other ag teacher's email?
Yeah, of course. Let me write it down real quick. You can do it. Or you can send it to me in a chat too. That's fine.
Okay, I'll just send it to you.
That's perfect. And I'll start sending everything to him.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Let me see if he's on. Okay, I think Owen is on. So we do have some state officers on for you guys so that you can ask them some questions, see what their year of service was like, what their experience going through the nominating committee process was. So you guys are open to ask any questions for our state officers that you have.
Okay, I guess.
Oh,
never mind. You can go. All right. So how did y'all balance like your family or like social life during state office?
Who wants to go first, state officers?
You can go, Kirsten.
So I'll go first. So during my time in state office, balancing my school, social, and state officer life was a bit difficult at first, if we're being honest. But once you get into the hang of things, it becomes a lot easier. You just have to really prioritize. That's your main thing, is figuring out what's most important to you, and dedicating that to be first, but also remembering that as long as you get your work done in a timely manner and you make sure that it is done, you still can make time to have your free social time, because that's very important too, to make sure that you're still having a balanced social life and kind of keeping up with your mental health a little bit. So that's definitely one thing I recommend, is making sure that you stay on top of your work while still remembering to make sure that you are remembering about yourself sometimes.
Ellie, do you also want to answer? How did you handle this your semester?
Yes, ma'am, I can. I'm gonna go ahead and be 100% honest with y'all. One thing I suggest is stay on top of your school stuff. Of all the things you have to balance with that office, school is probably the hardest because you're gonna be missing a lot of school. And I think the most of school I've missed at one time, I missed 2 weeks, like livestock shows. I think it's national convention too. Like it was a ton of stuff. So stay on top of your school stuff as much as you can. And of course, we're blessed. Our state staff is pretty. I mean, we got some pretty good state staff. I don't want to brag on y'all or nothing, but they're very good about helping us balance everything. So when it comes to our school, family, and social life and all that, they don't ever like schedule stuff on stuff like holidays. Like you don't have to worry about missing Christmas or Thanksgiving with your family. You're going to be able to spend still a pretty good amount of time with your family. But I will say it's going to be most of y'all senior year in high school, or some of y'all might be freshmen in college. I will say take every opportunity to spend time with your friends while you're home that you can, because you're going to miss them. Of course, you're going to create your own FFA family. You're going to be best friends with 9 people, but take every chance that you can to spend time with those people, because our time's running out in high school. So that's pretty much what I have.
Okay, I guess I'll go in with my question now. If y'all had like one piece of advice before going into the like nominating process, what do you think like that advice somebody would have given you would have like helped you or boosted you up the most?
Okay, I think I'll go for this one. So I'm a very like nerve-wracked person. Like I'll get so nervous for everything. And going into non-com, like, yeah, it is very nerve-wracking and it's like it's a big deal. But one thing that one piece of advice that I was given like late into my non-com process was that you just make yourself comfortable with the nominating committee. Like treat them like your friends and like talk to them like they're your friends. Like it's serious, it's an interview, but enjoy it. Like embrace the conversation because they have some really good questions that they're going to ask you. They're really wanting to get to know you for yourself and who you are. So just be confident in your answers that you're giving, but just enjoy it. Don't be so nervous and so racked up about thinking like, oh my God, this is non-com. Just make sure that you take it in for what it is, because the process is so short and it is so much fun. Just go in there, be yourself. Don't be too nervous. Just have fun with it.
To piggyback, wait, can y'all hear me? Okay. Also, guys, the camera's right here, but like the screen is up here, so if I'm looking up, that's why. But to piggyback off of that, I would definitely say like get closer with the other candidates, because you're all going to be stressed and it's going to be like a really like stressful and anxiety ridden like experience, but they know what you're going through because of that, and you'll create like really cool bonds. Even like last year, a lot of the people that like ran, we all still like talk, or we'll like see each other at events and we'll be like, hey, like I love like seeing you, like it's so nice to see you again. So definitely I would say get closer with the other candidates, and that also makes you just less stressed throughout the entire thing, because you have somebody to talk to and the people that you're with, and you can kind of like get comfortable with them and have like a person to, I don't know, let your anxieties out to.
Yeah, mine kind of goes with Riley and Alyssa's. It's definitely really important to make sure that you're living in the that's like our team thing, but living in the moment, like in all actuality. Because during the nom-com process, I know for me, I let all my nerves and kind of anxiety get the best of me. So I didn't really get to enjoy I mean, I enjoyed the process. It's a really fun process, but I didn't really get to be like present. Like I felt like I wasn't as present as I wanted to be. I didn't make as many connections as I wanted to. And like Alyssa said, that's something that's really important is to make connections with the people around you so that you have that support with you. And so yeah, that's definitely one thing I wish that I could have done more, and I wish I would have been told is just to just live in the moment and have fun with it and enjoy the process because it's one like no other. It's one that you're gonna grow from and you're gonna have fun with. But at the same time, it brings a lot of anxiety because you want the best outcome from it. But so just to remember that it can be a fun and memorable process. And that's something that you should try to make it be.
I have a question for y'all. So, what was y'all's favorite part just about the process? Like, your favorite memory from that weekend?
I can go for that one. I think my favorite thing was the first night we got up there, all the girls like went in one room and we're all just hanging out and we were like talking, like relating to each other about like how we felt about the process, like if we were nervous, if we were excited. And I think that was my favorite part because I look back on it now and that was the first night like we met these people. And I know I was nervous and like Kirsten and them were saying, it was just cool to be able to like relate to people and to make those connections right off the bat. And it was just a fun time. We all got to relate and we all got to just chill out the night before everything started. So definitely recommend doing that.
I have one question, Miss Elizabeth.
What's up?
Okay, so as of right now, I am currently like employed. Like I have a part-time job, and I also will be obtaining the same job during the summer. Can any of the state officers like kind of like tell me like how do you maneuver through like still trying to make a little bit of money and also upholding the responsibilities of a state officer?
Okay, so I can answer this one, Alarian. I recently started my job. I work at Sonic, you guys, in Jennings. So I had to get a job because I'm going to college and bills are a real thing. Growing up is a real thing. Adulting is hard. But I don't work for no mom and pops. I don't work for a local grocery store. So it was harder for me to like grasp the idea of like, oh my God, like I'm going to be missing a lot of work. So going into my interview process and like going into this job, I sat down with my manager and I told them, I was like, look, I've committed to this job of being a state officer because it really is a job. Traveling and, keeping up with chapter visits, going to banquets, it's a job. You have fun with it, but you have to be committed to going to these places, right? So I sat down with my manager and I was like, hey, like there's going to be a lot of times that I'm not here and it's really mandatory for me to be present at all of these events. So what I would suggest doing is that this is for anybody going into a job, make sure that you're going down as part-time because like there's going to be weeks that you can do a 40-hour week if you're 18 and you want a full-time job. There's weeks that you're going to be able to do that. But I know right now, like it's the start of banquet season. We have all of our state CDs, state livestock going on, fundraisers, stuff like that. And like I just started this job like a month ago. And I can say right now, like I've missed like a week's worth of work, but just sitting down with your managers and being like upfront with them and saying like, I would really like to work here and I'm committed to this job, but there's times that I just will not be present. And I'm wondering if you're going to be able to work with me on that. Just be upfront with your bosses and have that conversation because it's important that they know that you're committed to this organization. And that's something that bosses would like to see, like, oh, they're into extracurriculars or into being a servant leader. So I think that's something that will help you shine through too if you're looking to get a job.
Another thing is we have like an app as state officers called Time Free, and we'll have like all our events on there, like mandatory that we have to go to. So you'll know most of your stuff almost definitely ahead of time, especially your mandatory events. Plus, state staff is really good about working with you. Like we had our video day this week, and it had to be rescheduled. And they texted us like, "Hey, y'all work together to find a date that works with everybody." So they're very like lenient, and they do try and work with your schedule.
Okay, thank you.
How was the transition from like normal life to state officer life, like after you were elected?
So I know for me, it was like, so you get elected at state convention, and then literally just a little while after, you go immediately into like base camp and then leadership camp. And so you like start planning while you're at state convention. You like start coming up with ideas for leadership camp. And so it's like you don't really get a lot of time to kind of adjust, but I feel like it's enough time, because in that time that you're gonna get, it's like, I can't even explain, like, it's such a surreal feeling. It's such an amazing feeling to know what you're about to go into. But at the same time, just like be sitting with yourself and just have time. You're gonna have a little bit of time when you get back, and just take that time to just talk with your family, talk with your friends, let them know like, hey, like my summer is about to be filled with doing filled with one of the most amazing experiences that I will probably ever have in my life. And just let them know like it's gonna be time consuming, but I'm still gonna make sure that I make time for y'all too, and so that's like one of the biggest things transition wise, is just to know, like, keep in the back of your mind, like you're gonna have that time to still be with your friends and family. So don't, like, if that's one thing that kind of like will scare you a little bit maybe, but just know like it's gonna be okay. You're gonna have time for that. But just the biggest thing in that transition is just remember, it's gonna be the most amazing and exciting experience of your life, and there will be some sacrifices made, but just take that time, the little bit of time you have, just take that time to kind of mentally prepare yourself and say, hey, look, this is about to happen, but there's still these amazing things that I'm going to be able to have time to do. So
I would also like to say you'll be going through this transition with like a bunch of other people with you. You're not going to be the only one. Like there'll be, your team is also going to be going through that transition with you, and so you'll have people to talk to about that. And on top of that, I know like thinking about doing leadership camp is like super stressful, and you're probably going to be like, I'm not going to be able to do it, but you really are. And base camp will prepare you for that. And so it might seem really scary, and actually going through it is pretty scary, but you're going to be able to go through it, and you're going to be able to make that transition. And it'll be a fun and like necessary transition, and you'll have 9 other people there to help you with it too.
yes, your state officers hopefully will be like your besties, and you'll be able to lean on them for support, and y'all will have like hopefully one big friendship. That way y'all can talk about it and go through it together. So you definitely won't be alone.
Sorry guys. One thing about me is that I need to stay doing things. So like I enjoy going to events, and sometimes I accidentally overwork myself, but it's something that I enjoy, and I don't like standing still. So when I knew that my summer was going to be that packed, I was kind of excited, because I always want something to do during summer, and I didn't have a summer from my freshman year into my senior year too, that wasn't filled with FFA stuff. So when I knew that it was going to be filled with FFA stuff and serving such an amazing organization, I was really excited, and I knew that it was going to be overwhelming at times, and I knew that I might butt heads with my team, but it's getting through those little things and still communicating and still remaining professional. That's one of the most important things. And it is a lot to transition from, maybe just being a chapter officer or area officer to doing so many big things at once, but it's also just an amazing experience overall.
There any other questions you guys have for the state officers?
I'll add this in, Elizabeth, unless you've covered it already. A lot of you have asked about, balancing home life, balancing home events, life events, that sort of thing with state office. We will never, ever, ever make you miss once in a lifetime events. So like if your prom falls on SLDC, you can go to prom. You know, if your graduation falls on Capitol Day, you're going to go to graduation. So understand that those big milestone events that a lot of you are going to be seniors in high school next year, when you encounter those, we're not going to make you miss that for a state officer experience. Now, the things that you do need to make sacrifices for, if you say, hey, my niece is having her 3rd birthday party and it's on SLDC, well, guess what? You need to come to SLDC because your niece is probably going to have more birthday parties after that one. We're not going to make you miss major holidays. If your family has already planned like some major vacation that's already on the schedule, it's already paid for, you need to let Elizabeth know ASAP so that if those kinds of conflicts are going to happen, we can work around it. If you've already received like, if you've earned like a 4-H award trip this summer or something along those lines, that's a school related event that you've already been selected for, let us know so we can work around that. We're not going to make you sacrifice and give up everything to be a state officer, but you need to tell us ahead of time so that we can work with you to make sure that it's balanced, because when you don't show up to things, you're putting more work on your fellow state officers, and that's what we don't want to have happen. And you don't want to miss out all these cool opportunities either.
There any other questions you guys have?
Actually, I don't know if it's kind of a unique question. So my parents are kind of against me running for state office because I'm going into the next chapter of my life with going to like a freshman for college at LSU. And so they're really against it just because they have this like I don't know, point of view of I'm fixing to like not see you anymore, and this is like your last summer home. Are they correct in thinking that, or like how can I help convince them that this is like a good opportunity for me?
So, okay, Kirsty.
You got that.
Okay, so granted, your summer will be very busy. Like you have leadership, you have a state officer summit and stuff like that. But I will say this, your only month that you're really not home, or like you're home for like a limited time, like maybe like a week and a half at your house, is June. June is like really, 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 really packed. And that's it. Like they won't see you for June, but after July and like August, you'll be home a lot. You'll be with friends and family. The main thing, like, I don't know when State Officer Summit is, but that's like 1 week out of there. And like you'll be working, at state officer stuff, planning everything throughout the year. But I will say that you'll be a home a lot more in July, whereas in June. So when it comes to talking to your parents, you can be like, yeah, there's gonna be times that I'm not gonna be home. But I will still be here a lot later on. It's just at first it's going to be a lot, and it's going to be a lot on my plate. But I promise you that this state officer position is going to give me so much reward and so much growth, and probably will help you a lot going into college when making connections, building your leadership skills, talking to different people, getting out of your comfort zone. Because college is a big deal, but state office is too. And I think that they really could go hand in hand.
Thank you.
So my advisor informed us that for the final round of interviews, like the last, like round 6, we wear personal clothes. Is that still how things are going to be working this year?
Yes, that is how, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Lejeune, you can help me if I'm wrong, but you will be wearing personal clothes for that interview round.
Ultimately, that's the decision of the committee, but that is what they've done the last couple of years. And as far as I know, that's what the coordinators of the committee were planning to do again this year, but they'll let you know if that changes well ahead of time.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions you guys may have? No? Okay. I'm going to share my screen just one more time so that you guys can get the contact information of state staff. And let me know if you can see it. Can you see this? Contact us. So I have Mr. Lejeun's email. If something super important happens that you need to let him know about, you can. Your advisors can. That's his email. I have my phone number and my email. Any questions you may have regarding the process, you can reach out to me. And then Adam Tucson is also helping. He's a state staff member, but he is on the nominating committee. He's not on it, but he is one of the coordinators for that. And so I have his number and email there as well in case you absolutely need to contact him for anything. So go ahead and take those names and emails down. Again, I will be emailing out a link so that you can sign up for practice interview rounds if you would like with me. And so I'll have that information sent out to you. And then, of course, like Mr. Lejeune said, if they don't decide to, or even, if they do for the personal close or any other last minute details that you'll need to know, those won't be sent out last minute. We'll let you know well ahead of time. And so we will email those details to you guys. Okay. All right. And then before we leave, does everyone have the names and the numbers and emails down, or do y'all need a little bit more time? No? Okay. I'm going to show you our website, and I'm going to show you where to find some resources. So I'm going to pull that up real quick so that you guys can see that. So if you were to type in to just Google Louisiana FFA, it's laffa.org. Right here, it's going to take you to our website. It's the very first link, and you guys can see my screen, right? Yep. Perfect. If you go to the students portal, scroll down, you're going to see officer candidates and nominating committees. If you click on that, you'll see here we have the state officer candidate resources. So we have our application, of course, which you've already put in, release form, registration, which we just did. We have our state officer manual. So that's going to have all of the responsibilities and roles that you'll be fulfilling throughout your year of service, as well as those mandatory events. In more detail, it explains everything. State convention housing policy for you and your advisors. I'm also going to list this recording and our little PowerPoint so that you can go back and refer to that. And then if you scroll down a little bit farther, you will see the scorecards. So those competencies that we were talking about, you can see for every single round what the scorecards look like for that. So let's just say we pull up the personal introduction. So you can see this is what the nominating committee will be submitting for your scores. This is what it will look like. Okay. And so that is all on our website. Is there any questions that we can answer before we let you guys hop off? Any last minute concerns? No?
I'll throw this out here as a resource. I don't know if they're going to do it this year, but I would assume they will. Ruston High School usually hosts a candidate training experience. I hear it's really, really good. When that information goes out, we'll make sure it gets shared. As a state staff, we don't hold a full-on training the same way that they do, just because it would be a little unfair if all of you couldn't attend for us to be putting that training on. But if another chapter wants to host it, that's up to them. There may be others around the state that are going to start doing it. I'm not completely sure. But I would say that whether you're doing it with another school or whether you're practicing at home with your own advisor, your own chapter, use those scorecards, because that is what you're going to be scored on during the NomCom rounds. And if later on, some of you want to run for national office, that's the same scorecards you're going to be scored with. So the more you can use those scorecards in practice, you're going to be able to start tailoring your answers towards what it is that the competencies are trying to address. So make sure you utilize that as a resource as you practice.
Okay. All right. So like I said, I will put those on our website, so you'll be able to find the link to our PowerPoint and to this video recording listed there. And more information will be sent out to you within the next a few months, just regarding the nominating committee process, if there's any information that needs to be sent out. But thank you guys for joining and spending the past couple hours with me. I think you all did great, and I'm excited to see what you guys bring to the table in June. All right, so you guys are free to go. State officers, if you can stay on the Zoom call for me. But candidates, you guys are free to go. Just let me know if you have any questions.
And make sure you buy your concert tickets for convention too. Don't miss out.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
you.
Everyone have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you.
Thank you.